trying to cover new people.
Ariana, is it Lex? Is
Yeah,
that her name?
Yeah, Lex.
Ariana Richards?
And then also the girl that shoots down Jake Johnson when he asks her out in Jurassic World. She's like, no, I'm seeing somebody.
Yeah. He is good in that. He is funny.
I just want a loud, boisterous person sitting in a room hacking.
I don't think you could put Samuel L. Jackson in that category. I mean, he's not around long enough and he loses his arm. I mean, you can't hack with one arm.
No, I mean, he's good at looking at computer screens, though. Remember, this is look at computer screens.
That's true. Okay. The looker-atters.
I mean, he's a good looker-atter. Like, he does quality looker-atters. All right, who do you got next?
I have got 3 guys from the Mission Impossible world, from Benji Dunn, Luther Stickle, and Ethan Hunt.
Oh, I had Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys are kind of on the same level for me, and they're all in the same movie universe.
I mean, their typing is legit.
They do have good typing. They're great at looking computer screens or any sort of LCD screen.
Very good at looking at screens. I mean, they're good at looking at screens when they're hanging off the ground.
Yeah, that's kind of all they do.
A lot of, hanging upside down, looking at a screen. A lot of good
screens.
Yep, looking at eyeball screens.
Yeah, they're legit.
All right, so for me, I got Tom Scoggins from Deep Blue Sea. That's Michael Rappaport.
Okay, of course you would.
So I did a commentary for Deep Blue Sea on the podcast that almost killed me because it was incredibly difficult. But Rappaport, I listened to the commentary, and Samuel Jackson's like, Rappaport had no idea what he was doing on this movie. He's like, oh, it was just green screened. And so Rappaport's trying to pretend when he knows what's going on, but he's not smart enough to look like he's really into it. Like Sam Jackson was just blasting on Rappaport in the commentary. But I kind of, he was very good at looking at screens. If you type in Deep Blue Sea, Michael Rappaport, you'll see some very quality screen looking from him. He adds, what I like about Rappaport and his screen looking at him is it's very earnest. It's very earnest screen looking. Like he's really striving to look at screens in Deep Blue Sea. So that's why I added him. It's a great screen looker.
Yeah, that's a good one. I can see that.
Do you have any more?
I do. I have got a few of the cast guys from the movie Sneakers, which is another great hacking movie with Robert Redford.
Oh, yeah.
So Martin Bishop's a good screen looker. And this is kind of a catch-22, but Erwin Whistler Emery, and he was played by Jason Strahan. And he's blind in the movie, but he's very good at kind of hacking and picking up on digital sound signals.
Oh, wow. I like that.
He's kind of like the equivalent to Contact with
Jodie Foster?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the blind man in that movie.
Jodie Foster did some good screen looking in Contact.
She does have some.
I should have picked a submarine movie, a guy who does the radar in a submarine.
You could pick pretty much everybody from The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, dude, what about the guy from Spaceballs? They got the bleeps, I got the creeps, I got the bleep.
It's a good one.
And so the last one I had on my list was John Cho from Searching, where he just all he does is look into screens. It's like it's based on like computers. You're looking at computer screens. Very good movie. Very, very good. 90-something% Rotten Tomatoes. Really great film. All he does is look at screens in that movie. And he crushes it.
Well, I had a couple honorable mentions that we could throw in there.
Yeah.
Riley Poole from National Treasure.
Oh! Alright, yeah, he's my number one. We're done.
Oh, he just jumped to your number one?
We're done. We're out of here. Thank you for coming. This is movies. No, I'm joking. Alright, what was it?
He's solid. I've got Nicholas Hathaway from Black Hat.
Yeah, he's good.
Chris Hemsworth. And then Mr. Universe from Firefly and Serenity.
Oh, yeah. That's a very good screen looking.
Yeah, that's all he does.
And the guy in The Matrix who just looks at the screens.
Oh, Tank?
No, the main guy who just, like the orbital.
Oh, the Oracle.
The orbital.
The orbital.
Dude, Riley Poole, 5 times. That's it. Man,
he helped steal the Declaration of Independence, the greatest heist in the history of heists.
Without guns. And because of National Treasure, every time I do a keypad, I run my fingers over every number. I do. You know that?
No.
I do. So now if someone traces where my fingers hit, they'll see that I hit every single one of them. Because of National Treasure.
They need to make a third one.
They need to, but, man, They won't with Nick Cage and because that movie was like 200. The second one was like 150 million to make.
Yeah, they're big movies. Those were blockbusters.
Yeah, the second one was massive too.
I mean, both of those came out. The first one was like 03 or 04.
It was huge.
Second one was just a couple years later. I mean, those were monster movies for the time.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, that's a big budget, but yeah, those were huge.
I think you and I got probably the perfect hackers here. We got some supervisors, we got some gags, we got some bits, we got some twins. We got everything in here.
Twins.
We got everything in here. They could pull off a righteous hack while people stare at screens. Have you ever pulled off a righteous hack, Tom?
Have I ever pulled off a righteous hack? I felt like way back when MySpace was a thing, where you could code and like embed like your own little, music player. I felt like I was hacking at times when I did that.
Was it a righteous hack?
It was a righteous hacker back like just when you had like old, like Windows DOS and just booting up old DOS games. How you'd have to type in the backslashes and the root files. I thought I was doing righteous hacks just to play a Ninja Turtle game.
You're in the butter zone? Oh, no.
I was so in the butter zone.
Before we kind of end our thing here with this movie, I just want to say the argument between the plague, I almost called him Barf, the plague and his boss, where they're surrounded by probably 70 extras who work at this company, and they are screaming at each other about, you're going to cause a real ecological disaster. I can cancel at any time. Stop the thing. Stop getting money. You need, like, they're yelling at each other.
On the escalator.
Yeah, and bad ADR, very secret stuff.
Yeah, they're talking about, like, natural disasters and felonies, and they're openly talking about it on an escalator in the middle of the workplace, and nobody hears them.
And I also want to say, when you watch the scene where Johnny Lee Miller gets arrested by the Secret Service, they manhandle him. They, like, use his body to slam open a door.
Yeah.
Like they were really rough on Johnny Lee Miller in this one. Those dudes are throwing him around.
And then when he puts his head back out the cop door and he's screaming, hack the planet, they, like, grab his head and, like, throw him back in.
Yeah, they watch the movie and to see how they and he's like, the trash! The trash!
We're trashing our rights, man!
Yeah. I mean, it was smart. That was smart that he did that. But, no, all right, so this is random, but we're doing a upcoming podcast, this guy Adam and I, we're doing a podcast about snowmobile action scenes, and then the movie Icebreaker, starring Bruce Campbell and Sean Astin. Really bad. I had to listen to the riff tracks version of it just to get through it. But there's a scene where I don't think they could afford stuntmen, so there's a fight in a kitchen, and this stuntman lifts Sean Astin was little in 2000, before Lord of the Rings, picks Sean Astin up, slams him on a pile of, like, on a table full of dishes, and I swear to you, Tom, Sean Astin has the look of just sheer fear in his eyes while he's getting manhandled by. I don't think Sean Astin expected that he would just get his ass kicked so badly in this scene.
Nobody should treat Rudy like that.
But he got picked up. I swear to you, man, the look on his face was just fear. I don't think he was acting either. So
that came out, you said, in 2000?
Yeah.
Man, then he must have put on a lot of weight in a very short amount of time to start Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, because he had to, right? Didn't Samwise have to be a little bigger?
Yeah, he was kind of a chunky hobbit.
Yeah, but I mean, because he was just normal Sean Astin in this one. But just, if you ever listen to the riff tracks version of Icebreaker, it's $1.99 to rent on Amazon. He just gets picked up and slammed, and he just looks like he's going to cry. But Johnny Lee Miller's getting slammed all over the place, and he looked like he was just playing it off.
Well, he's a tough Brit.
Yeah, you're right. Oi! I don't know if Brits, if that's what they do. But any final thoughts on the hack before we head out of here?
I guess just a quick thing. I always find it fascinating with movies and how they depict, what the future is going to be like, especially in, like, the technological realm. And it's like my best example right now is, like, Fast 7 with Ramsey. I guess you could have thrown her in with a hacker, but it's like, she's created the God's Eye that takes their, uses, like, cell phone and tablet internet footage, security camera footage, And so, like, that's like a real world fear now from people. Like, I see people all the time covering their computer camera because they're afraid people are like hacking in and, stealing their images or recording their voice without them knowing it. And so, like, this movie Hackers was back in the mid 90s, and I just find it fascinating, like, how accurate they actually were with a lot of things.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's like an example is like, Johnny Lee Miller is dressed up at one point and he's got his 1.44 megabyte floppy disks on him. And he's like pulling them out of his jacket and like in front of the mirror going, you feel lucky? You feel lucky, punk? And it's like nobody carries around a floppy disk, but everybody carries around a USB flash drive.
Yep.
Everyone, all these kids are connected to their tablets and their phones and their computers back then. Everyone's carrying around a laptop. Nowadays, everyone's got a cell phone, which is, technically the same thing.
The hackers would have shit if they had one of these cell phones.
Oh, yeah. Could have done everything off your iPhone or Galaxy or whatever you got. So yeah. I just found that kind of interesting that, this was like really the turn of the technological age with the internet and just how more or less accurate they were in depicting what it would be like.
Man, hackers got it right.
They got it right. They knew what they were doing.
Steel Dawn didn't, if you've watched that movie that we covered on our podcast. If you guys, Tom, you should listen to our Steel Dawn podcast. You're going to laugh a lot.
Tell me what Steel Dawn is. I actually don't know what that is.
It's Patrick Swayze, and it's a post-apocalyptic movie where he had zero sword training and he had an aluminum sword, but it was after Dirty Dancing. So the majority of his fights in this movie were keeping him away from sword fighting and more about his spinning and dance moves.
Oh my gosh.
And the opening scene, he's upside down doing like a handstand, resting on his head, and these sand people attack him, trying to steal his bag. And he's just trying to he slaughters all of them. But my favorite part is this sand person pulls back its left or right fist as far as it can go and just swings and just wallops Swayze. I mean, it's one of the greatest punches ever landed, ever, in cinema. So you should listen to our podcast.
I don't know how I didn't know about this movie. He has got a righteous beard.
It's on Vudu for free. You can watch it.
Holy cow. He looks like Eric Bana from Troy in one of these pictures.
Yeah, so it's basically a remake of Shane, but he shows up to this town where there's a boss and he's being a jerk, and he's kind of an asshole in the movie if you think about his end plan. But he does get hit in the face really hard by a sand person, and it's worth seeing.
So he went from Red Dawn right into Steel Dawn.
Yeah, well, and then this was when Dirty Dancing came out, so he was probably like, crap. These two movies come out in the same year.
Man, him and the Dawn movies.
And Black Dog, Red Dawn, Black Dog, Steel Dawn.
Classic Swayze.
Has he done any other movies with colors in them? Roadhouse, Steel Dawn. No colors there. All right. So, Tom, thank you for joining me, man. This was fun. I'm really glad you recommended this movie because I loved watching it again.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And you're coming back, right? We're going to do Real Genius on the next one?
Yes, that sounds good.
We're going to keep this theme alive?
I love Real Genius.
All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Tom, Mad Dog Tresmer, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.